What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Linemen Football. And today's video, I'm going to be giving you guys the biggest mistakes coaches make. Now, first off, none of these are specifically mine. However, I do agree with a lot of them. These were pulled on Instagram, and I basically sent it out saying, what are the biggest things you guys don't like about what your coaches do right now? And here's what I came up with. So I know all the coaches out there, you're not going to agree with all of them. We're not trying to get to the personal ones, and there's some of them on here which I'm actually going to talk about because I don't really agree with. But you know what? Let's get into the video. Let's go over this. Okay, so the first one is going to be about conditioning, and a lot of the people thought that it wasn't fair that the linemen were doing the same conditioning as skill players. Now, this can kind of go either way. If receivers and stuff are running like greyhounds or grassers, whatever you call them, I think. So it didn't really make sense that linemen were running greyhounds with receivers because we're not really running super long distances like that. It's more short bursts. So I understand the point of linemen doing like 40s and stuff. However, I found when I played, even though I hated it, I knew that the greyhounds or grassers, whatever you call them, were actually more effective because I had to push myself. 40s, you can kind of slack off a bit, but greyhounds, you had to run the whole time. So it made my legs way more tired. So that one can kind of go either way. However, I do understand where they're coming from. All right, the next one is going to be about playbook. So it can be really frustrating when a coach expects you to use to know your entire playbook of say 100 plays, and then when it comes time for games, they already know the plays they like and say they use 10 plays, right? So it can be frustrating as a player when the coach asks you to understand, know everything, and then they only go out using 10. Now, I understand that from the player's perspective, but you also have to understand that game plans do change depending on the game. It's a 100-play playbook. 10 plays might only work for one team, where 20 plays might work for another team depending on their alignment and stuff. So again, I understand where it comes from both perspectives on that one. However, you just got to communicate, I guess, with coaches about why we're picking certain plays and why we only use certain plays. Okay, so this one everyone knows about, and it is like the biggest way to actually like not like a player. So when you show up, say you're a senior, junior, you get your equipment, say you got like a Riddell IQ, right? Super old helmet, you're not happy with that. And then you look over and you see a freshman guy, you've never talked to him before, and he's got a brand new Riddell Speed on. It is super frustrating when the freshmen get the nicest equipment on the team. They haven't earned it yet, nor do you even know if they're going to stick around long enough for that equipment to get used. So, I think seniority rules, they get the better equipment. That's just how it works. It can be unfortunate, like say if you run out of large speeds, but they have small, so then they give to the freshman because it fits them. I understand that, but it can still be really annoying when the newest players to the team get the best equipment, and that's at any position. Okay, the next one is going to be about backups. So the one was about players or coaches complaining about not having depth and having like backups running games, but then not giving backups enough reps in practice because they want to give the starters reps. It completely makes sense that you do want to give starters reps, but yes, at the same time, you have to give the backups reps in practice against starting defenses or in the opposite way, because you never know who's going to have to get in. Okay, now this was a big one for me, which is hitting before games, like day before game, doing like Oklahoma drills and stuff to like get us excited and get us hyped up and stuff. But it was like super dangerous, but also hitting in playoffs. So you have to know the right times when to do hitting and do big hitting drills. Okay, the next one is going to be about a lot of players noticed that they didn't respond well to coaches yelling. And they found that coaches yelling was not a way to get them better, but also they felt that the coaches yelling showed that they didn't actually care for the players. So it's more about showing that you care for their players, their well-being, and how well they develop. And yelling isn't the excuse for everything. And that's one I'm actually bad for as well. So that's one thing I do want to work on. All right, the next one, we've all seen it before, putting linemen on special teams. I understand if you need bodies, right? And there's certain special teams that linemen can go on. If you want to put them on like punt on either direction so they're blocking on the line, or maybe kickoff return and they're the front line, but there's just no reason for like a big lineman to be on kickoff trying to run down the field. They're useless. It's not worth it. Plus you're using all their energy. So just keep linemen off those really speedy special teams. All right, now the next one, I'm kind of split on. I actually don't really agree with this one. Now it depends where it comes from, right? So players didn't like when coaches were giving out non-positional gear to players. So they didn't like when receivers were being given lineman pads or linemen were given receiver pads because receivers want those pads, right? So they didn't like when there was that crossover because they wanted those pads. However, I don't think a lineman also needs to have massive pads. So I think this is more of a pads issue and the amount versus who the blame goes on, right? So like for me personally, I wore quarterback pads. The quarterbacks probably didn't like it, right? They didn't really say anything, but because why do I need big pads at lineman? I don't do any hitting at O-line. D lineman, you might need a little bit bigger for like hitting and stuff, but I was all about hand placement and having good movement in my shoulders. I didn't need massive pads for that. So yeah, I worked receiver/quarterback pads for 2 years, right? That's just how it was. So you need to also understand where the blame needs to go. If it's a brand new coach giving out the wrong stuff and the player doesn't even notice, okay. But if it's like me and I'm asking, come get your beef with me. All right, the next one is going to be expecting players to already know things without actually teaching them those things. So even if the big thing was if they came from one team to another, say they moved up levels, coaches already expecting that they knew certain techniques and stuff, which they didn't teach them themselves. So it's always important to teach them everything yourself first, and that way you know exactly what they know. It's also good to understand with like plays and stuff. It may be simple for the coaches to explain it and they understand it really well, but it might not be as simple for the players. So remember, go over everything. You need to basically think every player doesn't know anything. Teach them everything from the beginning. That goes into the next one. So it's about skipping technique, right? Always not skipping to the more advanced stuff because they think there's a basic level of learning. Do the simple fundamentals and technique first to make sure everyone has it down the exact way you want it. Start with stance, start with first steps. Second last one is about positional switching. Now, on the coach perspective, this is very, very annoying when it happens. So players complaining that they're at positions they don't want to be at. So I understand that coaches might want to let other players, if they say they want to go try linebacker from D-line, maybe let them go do it. But it's all about timing. Say it's a 6-week season and 4 weeks in you ask to switch positions. Should not happen. The reason because they don't know if they have someone to fill that spot yet, right? You know the linebacker stuff, and if they have to get you in at wherever, you need to be ready, right? It's too late in the season. However, after week 1, it might be too early because you haven't really figured it out yet. Maybe after week 2. After week 2 is kind of that 3 is definitely that cutoff for switching positions. Now, it's honestly the best when a player plays a whole position the whole year. They say, I don't really like that position. For the start of next season, let's try you out somewhere else and let's see how that goes. So yeah, it's bad when coaches don't let you switch positions because you think you want to try something else. But you have to remember it's all about timing in the season when it'll actually work. All right, the last one is going to be about special teams. Now, from experience, if you have good special teams, you can be a really good team because we found that one of the mistakes coaches make is not enough coaches spend enough time on the special teams because they don't feel it's a big, important part of the game. So there you guys go. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Again, I do stuff like this all the time, so don't forget to go follow me on Instagram so you can get your opinions out there on all this stuff too and take a part in making my videos. Again, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Any other ideas, leave them down below. If you enjoyed it, please like the video. Again, I hope you guys enjoyed. And as always, thanks.